Constantly. I love these introductions. Are you guys ready to see what everyone's talking about
Very
this
ready.
morning?
Take it away.
Okay. Let me see what I can do. Good morning, Nigeria. I like to say that TVC has a finger on the pulse and an eye on the streets. And here on the Trending Now segment, my team and I do our best to bring you the trending stories that are shaping the world that you and I live in. We begin today with this submission where justice, history, and a touch of national healing are in order, where the Council of State has approved the presidential prerogative of mercy for 175 persons across different categories, a move that's both symbolic and significant. But here is where it gets truly fascinating. Among the beneficiaries are some big historical names. We have the father of Nigerian nationalism, Herbert Macaulay, and the late Major General Mamman Vatsa, the former FC minister and a poet who was executed in 1986 after being convicted of treason. Also on the list are members of the Ogoni 9 and the Ogoni 4, whose cases remain etched in Nigeria's struggle for environmental and social justice. Out of the 175 beneficiaries, 82 inmates also got full presidential pardons. 65 of them had their sentences reduced, and 7 death sentences were commuted to life imprisonment. This is very interesting. Our president is attempting to rewrite history and heal old wounds, and we must commend that. Let's take a look at social media. Niger Dentist says this pardon is symbolic, a gesture rewriting colonial history and projecting moral leadership. But beneath the symbolism lies contradiction. You don't pardon a patriot unjustly convicted by colonial masters. You exonerate him. It's good optics but poor jurisprudence. Again, there are more injustices today, and unless the president applies this same moral logic to them, this pardon remains historical theater, not national healing. And I Am Bodma says, many people are confused about why President Bola Tinubu granted a presidential pardon to Herbert Macaulay, even though he died long ago. But here's what it means and why it still matters. Can someone be pardoned after death? Yes, it is possible. This is called a posthumous pardon. Team, we discussed this during the newspaper review. Our president is attempting to rewrite history, and a lot of people don't understand the importance of posthumous clemency. But if you ask me, when history looks back, we'll see that wrongs were righted and that wounds were attempted to be healed.
Which is the whole purpose behind this. And the 175 inmates that were pardoned completely, sentences commuted to lower ones and so on, they will have this feeling of being a Nigerian, that my country finally recognized me. Okay. And for those that died before this pardon came, one of your tweets that said, for people like Herbert Macaulay, it would have been exoneration and not pardon. It's still okay. Yeah. It's still okay. The thing is that the intent is felt and the intent is understood. It's about healing.
Yeah, and I love what is happening, because if I'm correct, you cannot rewrite the past, but you can change some things, and that's exactly what he's doing. You know, just saying that. Let's talk about Herbert Macaulay. This is a man that really fought, you know, for equity in Nigeria. So it's beautiful to see that, you know, this pardon is given, and it exonerates him, just like what Etoma said. He has family, so this family would now see that, you know, Nigeria can still do good for these people. Also the inmates as well. I think generally what the president is doing is a beautiful one. You know, he's rewriting history, and we love it. I really commend him for this.
That is why it's always good to have people at the end of affairs who understand the history, who understand where Nigeria is coming from, and the dishonorable acts and then things that were done wrongly upon Nigerian nationals, you know, back in the day, especially as perpetrated by colonizers. They are still here, you know, in their neo-colonial, you know, strategy. You know, some of them even trying to say Nigeria is killing Christians and all of that. So it's good that the president has done this. The families will be happy for it. You know, remember when former President Muhammad Buhari also pardoned MKO Abiola and then recognized him, gave him the national honor, you know, national honor, the highest one on the land. You know, all of that. So it's something that is going to help not just rewriting history, but helping us to heal and see the brighter future ahead.
Absolutely. Indeed, the past does have a way of putting the future into perspective. Yeah. Let's move on. In international news, former BBC Radio 1 DJ Tim Westwood has just been charged with multiple counts of rape and sexual assault, offences that are said to span over 3 decades. Now, the 68-year-old faces 4 counts of rape, 9 of indecent assault, and 2 of sexual assault involving 7 women, some of them as young as 17 years old. These alleged offences occurred between 1983 and 2016 in London and Gloucestershire. Tim Westwood, who left BBC Radio 1 in 2013 and later hosted on Capital Extra, is now due to appear in court on the 10th of November. The BBC board has since tendered an apology, admitting that it did not take adequate action when concerns first surfaced about Tim Westwood. On his part, Westwood has now denied all the allegations, but the case does reignite tough questions about abuse of power and accountability in the entertainment industry. Let's take a look at what you have to say about this story on social media. Grace says, Tim Westwood has been a predator for years, but nobody cares about young women, specifically young black women, so people just turned a blind eye. This happens time and time again with men who appear to have power and authority, especially within the entertainment industry. Naeem Shabir says, and once again, BBC is in the mix, just like with Jimmy Savile, letting this abhorrent hate. One wonders how many more instances of this have occurred and been swept under the carpet. Very disturbing allegations coming up against Tim Westwood. Team Ria, I'm going to direct this to you, but of course the men can chime in if they would like. We are women, we are in the media industry, and we know the kind of gatekeepers that are there, the people that are standing in front of doors saying, unless you give me your body, you're not going to be let in. How do 15, 16, 17-year-olds, position themselves in such a way that this is avoided? This man has apparently taken advantage of several young women in the span of a few decades.
Olamide is a very sad one because in one way or the other, we've all experienced it. But what I always say to young girls when I have the opportunity is that what your brain cannot do for you, your body cannot do it for you. So if someone is asking you for something in return of what you have the intelligence, is definitely a no. But now my problem is that with him, this has happened over a long period of time. I hope that we can still get evidence, because if you look at the time, 1883 to 2016, these things happened. Now I'm looking, how are we able to still get the evidence and charge him? It's really sad to see that a lot of men stand, as an session that, okay, you must do this before you get this. I wonder why the case has lingered so long like this. Were there no investigations at that time? Why did we wait till now before that we are not giving him all these allegations? But still, to my young girls, all I say is that please, respect your body. And at the end of the day, your brain should give you what your body should not at the end of the day.
The statute of limitation doesn't exist when rape and murder is concerned. And it is the same here in Nigeria. Though we're talking about Tim Westwood, I want to talk to Nigerian celebrities. We've heard quite a number of stories of how they abuse the fame and the money and the power that they have acquired. It is very easy for you to do that. And because there is no statute of limitation from 1983 till today, all the counts will be in that case that he will be arraigned on the 10th of next month.
It's just to let us realize that no matter how popular some people are, no matter how celebrated some people are, they also have their dark side. And as humans, we always struggle, we always strive against, that dark side of us, not to manifest. But some, they allow it to overpower them, so much so that at the end of the day, all of the accolades they've gathered, all of the things they've done, that people celebrate them, they just throw it down the drain. We sit here, we talk about R. Kelly, we talk about Sean Combs. We also talk about the Epstein file that allegedly indicts President of the United States, that's Donald Trump, and all of that. One of the appointees of the Prime Minister, UK, Keir Starmer, had to also be relieved because of this, all these allegations here and there. So we should be very careful what we do, how we do it, and then not to taint all the honors that we fought hard to achieve.
Indeed, I think the measure of a man is apparent when he's given access and power, and we've seen what this man has done with it, unfortunately. Yes. I've got to move on now. Moving on, back in Nigeria, on social media, a Nigerian activist, OK Vitalis, who joined the Omar al-Mukhtar flotilla in humanitarian mission to aid Gaza amid mounting crises, has been detained by Israeli forces, and it's sparking a lot of international concern and dialogue online. The flotilla's organizers released a video showing Vitalis, who worked as a mechanic on board, warning of imminent Israeli attacks before the ship was intercepted. Now, according to the supervising committee, the crew faced physical, psychological, and verbal abuse, and they were denied food and water for more than 24 hours, with their personal items and medicines confiscated. Now, OK Vitalis' detention has, of course, reignited debate about Nigeria's responsibility to protect its citizens abroad, especially those that are acting in solidarity with global justice movements. Some also argue that this is about humanity, national dignity, and Nigeria lending a voice to their people on the world stage. But let's take a look at what you had to say about this on social media. Magnificent Paul says, as a Nigerian at this present moment, don't put yourself in a situation that will require the attention of the Nigerian government. Stay in your lane. D of me says, there is this saying in my tribe, where a child plays is also where he will cry from. Who sent him there? When you look for trouble, you should also expect consequences. And Masjid says, one of the least things Nigeria should do is to find a way for his release immediately. He has to be set free because at least he somehow represented part of Nigerian humanity to Palestinians and to the world. Now, team, I believe about 2 weeks ago, we saw Vice President Kashim Shettima go up on the United Nations General Assembly and address them and reignite Nigeria's support for Palestine. We've also seen some House of Reps members in recent time saying free Palestine. We are lending our voice indeed to the Palestine movement and recognizing Palestine as an independent and sovereign state, but unfortunately one of ours is trapped. Do you believe that Nigeria has a duty to rescue this man on this flotilla, or did he bring it upon himself and the moment he went into international waters, he lost that right?
No, he didn't lose the right at all. He is a Nigerian, and it will be a very big boost to the Nigerian image if we can negotiate his release. We need to do that as a matter of national urgency. These are the kind of narratives that Nigeria needs now because of how battered our image is internationally. What he's doing is normal. Anybody can have whatever feelings politically, religiously, or anyhow. But you see, when you are caught in a situation like this and that country labels you a spy, it becomes a little bit difficult to get you out. But Nigeria as a country should do everything within our power to negotiate his release.
And I think that we better treat this as urgent. You know, I saw the tweet you were saying where somebody said, why did he go there? Why won't he go there? People have different, affiliations to things. So we cannot judge why he went there. But now he's there. The issue is that he's being held there. I feel like this is the time Nigeria has to stand up. The government has to make sure that he's finally released. Because if we do that, it also sends a message that we are one and we stand united.
It's usually very difficult to talk about this because one thing is, this is someone who had joined responsible people across the world, to break the siege that Israeli government has laid against the Palestinians. Palestinians are not just Muslims. There are Christians among them that have been killed. There are Jews among them that have been killed who have been living peacefully for a long time. These same Israeli soldiers, Israeli people, were people that Adolf Hitler killed, several hundreds of thousands of them, and they had to just welcome them down to the Palestine. The next thing is what we are seeing. So you don't have to be a Muslim. You don't have to be a Christian. You don't have to be a Zionist, or you don't have to be a Jew to condemn the immorality that is the genocide that is going on in Israel. You just have to be a human. And I say kudos to this Nigerian who had also joined in this struggle.
Absolutely. Our government does have a chance now to send a very strong message that Nigerians, wherever they are, have the backing of the country. Thank you, team. Moving on into international news. Popular gospel singer Tim Godfrey has stirred a lot of conversation after revealing that he rarely performs in Nigeria, citing poor treatment of gospel artists as a reason for this. Here's what he had to say.
What sense does it make that people work so hard and you are saying they should take... I have collected 2 bags of yam as honorarium. I have collected a full, alive, living, working, breathing chicken as honorarium. And that is what I'm going to use to pay school fees, pay house rent, buy property, No. That is so unfair.
Now, his comments are coming amidst fresh debate over whether gospel ministers should even charge performance fees, following claims earlier this year by Pastor Femi Lazarus that a gospel artist demanded $10,000 and first-class tickets to perform at his church. While some argue that ministry shouldn't be monetized, others, including Timi Dakolo, insist that gospel musicians deserve fair compensation, giving their production costs, rehearsals, and band expenses. So where is the line, I ask you, between ministry and money in modern gospel music? Very interesting. Don't pay me in tubers of yam. We want raw hard cash. Let's take a look at social media. Zine says, this same guy that charged student fellowship $350K around 2016, even when we pleaded, we had to go for another gospel artist and he asked us to pay just his hotel bills and even donated money to our fellowship. Faka85 says, the songs you sing is not supposed to be worship and praise to God. Why expect money to do that? This is not scriptural. Do business, work, or have investments. Let the God you minister to multiply you and increase your estate. And finally, the great thinker had this to say. They say, if you are a gospel artist, please keep charging for your ministration. Don't allow anyone deceive you. Those ones criticizing you have so many means of charging their church members for their own administration through tithes, offering, building projects, etc. Team, this man has now come out to say that you've paid me in tubers of yam. You've paid me in live chickens. You can't go to the store and pay. We're not in the barter system anymore. But I will say this, the only time that Jesus ever fought was when, you know, they made the house of worship a place of trade. Where do we draw the line between ministration and money? And what should an honorarium really be? Should there really be a price set, or they should be doing it for free? These guys are full-time musicians. Absolutely. All right? And say where you work is where you should chop. You know, all right. I don't subscribe to the fact that a full-time musician will come do a ministration in your church or perform in your church, and you give him a live chicken, or you give him some tubers of yam. You have to understand that he has a family. He has to keep his business going. The truth about it is that it is a business. Yeah. So let us look at it from that perspective.
Olamide, with what I want to say now, a lot of people are going to argue with me, but I think that it's just being manipulative to these people. Because at the end of the day, when you now say that, oh, you are worshiping God, God should pay you. No, God doesn't come down. God will send people to pay you. Let's look at these people's logistics, first of all, before we even talk about the family that they will take care of. Is he not going to come there? Is he not going to buy fuel, his outfit and everything? We've been having these conversations over and over again, and I feel like gospel artists must be paid. They should be paid in full. You should charge and you should pay them, because it's their voice, it's their intellectual, it's their song, it's their energy. Olamide, you see some of them singing and you see how, you know, they get into the spirit. It's different if the artist says, I don't want to collect money, I want to do it for God. But once the artist has told you this is my rate card, I think that they should be paid because they have bills to pay too.
Well, this actually reminds me of the song, you know, growing up. I don't know whether you know the song, but if you know it, you can just join me. Silver and gold I have none, but what I have I give unto you in the name of Jesus Christ. Just stand up and walk. So it is what they had that they, you know, probably presented to you as a gift. But if you don't have the money to hire this guy, just stay in your lane. That's just it.
It's simple.
Indeed, absolutely. I think anybody who's creating anything or rendering some sort of service deserves remuneration. Thank you so much, Tim.